Mr. Tarun. So before to start, I would like to formally introduce the today's expert. So professor is Dr. Pawan Garga. He is Professor of Management in Himachal Pradesh University since January 1st, 2009. Sir is ex-director in HP University Business School, ex-director University College of Business Studies. Sir is been Dean, Faculty of Environment, Development and Sustainable Studies, ex-member BOG of NIT Kurukshetra, ex-member BOG of HP Technical University Hamirpur. Sir is also a member of various school boards, CU Dharamshala, a member board of studies in CU Dharamshala, and about his research status, more than 50 research papers has been published in national and international journals, and till date sir has successfully guided 11 PhD candidates, several conducting as a resource person, right, and visiting the various universities to take Viva Voce of the PhD candidates. So I heartily welcome you, sir, in my campus, in my school. And with me, Dr. Anu is there with me as a co-expert with us, co-panelist with us, and Dr. Pooja, supervisor of the candidate. So I wish you all the best, Mr. Tarun, right? So all the best. Okay, so
thank you, sir.
May I start with your permission? Yeah, please start.
Thank you. So very good afternoon to all the panel members. First of all, I am privileged to have sir here, and the topic that sir is working on is, I think, very relevant to today's age. I just before starting, I want to just take 30 seconds to tell you that recently I have been to Singapore and I got the importance of sustainability that government is putting in these developed countries. So it's an immense topic, sir. My name is Tarun, and I am here to defend my dissertation for PhD. The topic is motivations, experience and satisfaction of international students selecting India as a study destination. I have worked for over 15 years in the front line of international admissions and also global outreach with different education institutions across India. Currently, I am working with Reliance, establishing Geo Institute in Mumbai. My work experience has directly shown me the critical need for this evidence-based insight that is required into this generally neglected, a small population of international students selecting India as a study destination. This work is done under the supervision of Dr. Pooja Khanna. So let me start with a very broad overall picture. You can see in this slide the landscape of international students have been growing over a decade, more than a decade, and also the countries they represent have been growing. We are very strategically located, and we are located in South Asia such that we are positioned to attract students from our neighboring countries. So we are more of a regional destination. That's what you can immediately notice from this slide. Now let's look at the global picture. So when we see the difference in the volumes, it's huge. India versus the other countries. So we need to become more of a global player, and to become a global player, there is quite a lot of things that is yet to be done. That's where this research plays a very important role. So India aims to be a global education destination by various schemes of government like Study in India, or by collaborative research with different education institutions. How we can do that? We can do that by enhancing our international aptitude, having more and more global visibility. India has a very robust regulatory framework, whether AICTE or UGC or Association of Indian Universities, which helps us to recognize the foreign credits to the Indian education system, and how they are challenging. However, there are quite a lot of challenges which still exist. These are whether there are quite a lot of visa issues, FRO related issues that students faces, or there are issues related to the global market for students that they study from India and then they seek opportunities in work in different parts of the world. Okay. So this literature review establishes the intellectual foundation of this study. It focuses on 4 key areas. One is student mobility. Second is the motivational factors. Then the student's experience, and finally the outcomes and context by examining the link between the student experience and the perceived value by a moderator called acculturation. So there is a globalization which is a double-edged, it has a double-edged impact. On one side there are quite a lot of benefits, like it helps education institutions to improve themselves, to provide a global access of knowledge, to motivate institutions to improve their standards and compete with the different education institutions abroad. On the other hand, the competition at times brings the commercialization, and there are various other risks to the same. So what India can do is India can use its technological integration, and also should be more in the proactive phase than in the receiver's phase in this context of internationalization. So should take the actions which are very precise, data-driven, research-based actions, so that it can position itself well in this international context. Okay, so the decision to study abroad is fundamentally governed by the push and pull factors. So the push factors are the ones which push a candidate out of the home country, and the pull are the ones that motivates a candidate or pulls them towards a study destination. So there are quite a lot of push-pull factors which already exist into the literature, but we are looking at these push-pull factors from India's context, which we are going to talk about in this study. So this slide provides a breakdown of how the push-pull factors coalesce into the motivational dimensions of academic, financial and career factors, social cultural factors, personal and family factors, institutional and policy factors. For India, affordability is the most powerful pull factor, positioning us as a cost-effective alternative to the Western, especially the students from developing nations. Students weigh cost against the benefits they get out of it. So that way, the return on investments is what students look at. The challenge is to maintain academic rigor while leveraging this cost advantage that India has. While premier education institutions, they offer advanced facilities, there are still education institutions in India which even do not have a proper Office of International Relations in their institutions. So we have a wide variety of education institutions in India. So acculturation shapes the experience and satisfaction a lot. If we look at somebody doing integration of acculturation, that has the highest satisfaction level. On the other hand, marginalization leads to the lowest satisfaction level. So this study identifies the following gaps. Thesis addresses previous studies lack deep analysis into contextual motivations, also driving students specifically to India, also specific impact of India's regulatory framework, including visa, post-study work permits, and student experience largely is unexplored with regard to the India's context. Also, there are gaps that exist. Also, there are gaps that exist in the perceived value and their subsequent satisfaction relation in India's context. And finally, there was a limited understanding of geographical, regional and variation that influence students' journey. So there are different regions that I propose. Students coming from different regions require different set of or have different set of motivations. So the study pursued 5 core objectives. The first objective is to explore the motivational factors of international students in selecting India as a study destination. Second, to compare the motivations of international students selecting India as a study destination based on the student's place of origin. Third, to to examine the impact of international students' experience, university reputation, and economic cost on the perceived value of India as an education destination. Fourth, to examine the moderating effect of acculturation between perceived value and experience of international students in India. And finally, to analyze the impact of value perceived by international students studying in India on their satisfaction. So the proposed conceptual model here, this model possesses the institutional factors of quality of education, socio-cultural environment, administrative support, infrastructure that drive the overall experience of a student. The experience along with the university reputation and economic cost shapes the student's perceived value, which is primary determinant of satisfaction. So we also hypothesize that acculturation acts as a moderator between the experience and the perceived value. So the variables of this study are quality of education, socio-cultural environment. These are the independent variables, infrastructure, university reputation. We also have a moderating variable, which is acculturation, and the acculturation is the degree of cultural adaptation that influences how experience translates to the perceived value. So to test the model, we developed 10 hypotheses. The key hypotheses are significant difference exists in motivations based on region of origin. Experience significantly influence perceived value. The 4 institutional factors of education quality, socio-cultural environment, administrative support, and infrastructure significantly impacts experience. Acculturation moderates the relationship between experience and perceived value. Perceived value significantly influences the satisfaction. A sequential exploratory mixed method design was utilized. We began with a qualitative exploration, conducting 50 in-depth interviews to uncover the rich experience. So we wanted to hear directly from the students' mouth what actually they felt during their studies in India, and that helped us to develop a quantitative questionnaire with more clear statements that can capture the more nuanced experience of these international students. So that's how this data was utilized, and that led to the next phase. The quantitative phase involved 2 major surveys. The survey 1 was majorly to understand the non-enrolled students, what barriers they face when they think of studying in India and why they have not enrolled to different education institutions in India. The survey 2, which is the most important survey, that focuses on the current enrolled students at different education institutions in India. The sample size was 1,000 international students. We used quota sampling here. Why we use quota sampling? To ensure the right diversity as it is positioned in the reports of All India Survey for Higher Education, AISHE, is also presented there. The diversity in form of gender, the diversity in form of their levels of study, whether graduation, post-graduation, the diversity in the form of regions they represent. So that's the reason quota sampling was used here. The quantitative sample size was calculated using Cohen's formula to ensure higher statistical power and the reliability of the instrument. Our primary tool was 5-point Likert scale. All the research instruments underwent a rigorous validation process, including review by a panel of subject matter experts, 7 subject matter experts, to ensure the content and face validity. To ensure data quality, all instruments were rigorously pilot tested. The interview protocol was pilot tested with 10 students to refine questions, wordings, and flow of the interview. The quantitative survey 2, which was the complex multi-construct scale survey, was pilot tested with 40 respondents to ensure the manageable time they take to complete the survey and minimize the non-response biases. Now, reliability analysis. So the reliability of our measure model was strong. We used Cronbach's alpha to measure the internal consistency. As the table shows, all constructs comfortably exceeds the acceptable threshold of 0.708, with the lowest being 0.713 for the administrative support. This confirms the reliability of and consistency of our measurement scale. We also established a strong construct validity. Conversion validity was confirmed as average variance extracted for all the constructs exceeded 0.5. Discriminant validity was also established using both foreign Larker criteria and heterotrait monotrait ratio to ensure that our constructs accurately measure what they actually intend to measure. Our analytical approach was sequential mixed method. Qualitative analysis used thematic analysis via NVivo 19 software to identify the motivational dimensions. For the quantitative analysis, we use SPSS 26 and majorly the Smart PLS 4. The key technique was partial least square structural equation modeling, PLSM, to test the complex relationships in the conceptual model. Now let's go objective wise. So the objective 1 sought the primary factors motivating students to choose India. Factor analysis revealed 3 core distinct revealed factors. The one most important was academic quality and reputation, that had quality of curriculum, faculty, reputation of host university, perceived value for future career prospects. Second was financial considerations, that had overall cost effectiveness and affordability, availability and access of scholarships. Cultural and social factors were very prominent in case of students coming from the neighboring countries, that influenced social networks and also the alumni relations. Attractions to India's rich cultural diversity also played an important role. Coming to objective 2, because the data was non-normalized data, so we used Kruskal-Wallis H test, and then we also used a Mann-Whitney U test, a post hoc test, and then we found that a statistically significant difference exists across 24 motivational factors. For instance, students from developing nations placed a very high importance on affordability and scholarships, whereas students from developed nations, they were more looking into high academic reputation of the education institutions. That's how we rejected the null hypothesis, that motivations for choosing India are significantly different based on the region of origin. Now let's go to the structural model. This image is the output of the PLSM analysis. It visually represents the relationship we tested. The next slide will focus on the path coefficients, T statistics, to determine which of the hypothesis relationships are supported. So that's the table. So you can see here that the table provides a detailed statistical support for the hypothesis. Note that every direct path has a p-value of less than 0.05, indicating a strong support for all main effect hypothesis. That's the measurement model. Same can be seen here. Okay, so the key paths explored and the direct effect results are shown here. The analysis confirmed that all 8 direct effect hypotheses were statistically significant and supported. The 3 most influential paths revealed core dynamics of the student journey. One was the perceived value being the primary driver of the satisfaction with a beta value of 0.675. Infrastructure had the large impact on the student experience, and a positive experience was very critical in determining the perceived value. So these three paths were very clearly dominant in this study. In terms of acculturation, the interaction effect of acculturation and experience on the perceived value was statistically significant. This means that acculturation moderates this relationship of experience and perceived value. That's how the null hypothesis was rejected. The plot here shows that if a student has a high level of acculturation, then the experience is very well transformed into the perceived value. On the other hand, if the acculturation or the cultural integration is not that good, the experience does not clearly leads to the good satisfaction. So there was a difference in that. Okay, so now coming to the key findings of this study. So the primary motivation factors that were figured out: one, the financial considerations are the strongest motivators in case of India, with availability of scholarships and cost effectiveness. Second, academic quality and career prospects played a very important role in case of India as a motivation factors. Third, the cultural and social and geographical proximities factors plays a very significant role in case of India. Now, the another important outcome of this study is the perceived career value and the quality of education were also key in terms of attracting these international students to India. This study confirms a robust model where students' experience and economic factors derived from perceived value, and acculturation plays a significant moderating role. Also, the perceived value of Indian education is shaped by three factors. One is students' experience, another is university reputation, and third is the economic cost of selecting the country. Now, something very important here, that economic considerations were not the only important factor. It was the perceived value that had the major driving factor to the satisfaction. That path coefficient was very strong. So that means that if we do, so in the beginning of my literature review, I figured out that cost effectiveness of India is a very important factor. But then it is very important to have a good quality of higher education institutions and the good quality of education along with the cost, because students do not only look at the cost, but they look at the outcomes post their study also, whether in terms of employment or whether in terms of their degree being reputedly utilized at various other corporate firms or MNCs abroad. So all these factors played a very important role along with the cost. So perceived value was something which was the most important in this case. So the moderating effect of acculturation is also very critical for the policy findings. Students who successfully integrate, so we need to make sure that education institutions, they give a very due importance and do not ignore the integration of cultural. So there are different, whether integration or assimilation, which is good. There are quite a lot of theories. So integration plays a very important role because they let a student also enjoy their own home country culture. So what education institutions do or the country do is, with the help of government bodies like cultural exchange bodies, they establish different cultural festivals of the foreign countries where they help them to integrate with their own culture, and also cultural festivals at India. Another very important finding of this study I want to pinpoint here is, it's not only the international offices that should be sanitized in terms of being culturally sensitive, because students not only interact with the international offices. International offices interaction is very limited. Students more often interact with academics, more often interact with the peers. So it was found that the friendships between international students and Indian students were not that strong in case of India. So the cultural adaptation was not that strong. So integration is required at different levels in that perspective. Okay, so let's compare this finding with the previous findings. So there are few contrasts. So Western focus studies says that academic reputation is most important. With regard to India, it is the affordability that is the first priority of international students. So that's the most influential factor, we can say. Also, we found that informal social networks plays a greater role than the institution's marketing. So institutions can do good marketing, but till the point the informal social networks, they play a good role. A good quality students getting is difficult in terms of international context. Influence of restrictive immigration policies was not that strong, so it was less of a deterrent. Why? Because these students come majorly from the developing countries, and with regard to the measures of visa that they face with another developed countries, at times it is easy to get visa of India. Another important factor that came out here very different is the political stability or the safety. So India, in many contexts, if you look at global context, is not considered a very safe country, especially for the female candidates. But when international students, they select India, they don't look at safety, but they look at more of a relevant safety. So safety compared to their country and safety that exists in India. So this was one very important finding of the study, which is very contrast to the, and political stability at these developing countries also was more of the contradicting factor, because in generally it is said that if a country has a very good political stability, will be a better destination, but in case of India, that didn't had much higher effect. Reason being, it was also compared back to their home countries. Okay, so the importance performance map analysis also showed quite a lot of managerial as well as the insights for the policymakers. So it's crucial to understand this. So the key focus here in IPMA is perceived value. So perceived value being the highest importance, but the performance is average, making the perceived value as the most critical area for the improvement. The second most improvement area with again high importance and low performance is university reputation. So these are the two important areas. Let's say some institutions have limited resources. Where should they focus? So the first focus should be the perceived value, and the second focus should be the university reputation. Something which performed throughout well, that means high importance and high performance, that university should continue maintaining is experience of international students. Okay, so we developed 6 clear strategies that can be implemented. One is expanding the financial aid. So there are already programs like Study in India or various other scholarships that exist under the government policies. Even education institutions, they do offer scholarships at their own level. Second is to boost global standing. Third is to strengthen the career pathways for the international students. That is something that most of the institutions are ignoring as of now. Maybe because of the Indian policy of no work after study here, or in future this can have more discussion and can be amicably taken forward. Enhancing student welfare. Modernizing the recruitment and integration, fostering international collaborations. The key recommendation for policymakers are again regarding the streamlining the bureaucratic processes, visa policies. Something very important here is to take care of clear guidelines on post-study work. So quite a lot of developed countries, we talk about brain drain and reverse brain drain quite often. So they might not give job to all the students, but then some few very talented brains, they tend to keep with them in their country. So maybe something like that India can look at in future. That can be an opportunity for the career prospects for the international students. For university administration, as I said earlier, a clear focus on perceived value and reputation should be given. A strengthening employability, customizing the regional strategies. Something very important institutions can do is acculturation. So the study makes three key contributions. It provides foundation to large-scale empirical analysis with the India as a host context, emphasizing affordability, quality of education, and cultural proximity as the key determinants. It revealed the surprising prominence of social networks, friends, families being more strong than the marketing. It also provided an unexpected finding that political stability was not a dominant factor, as the students were focused on the relative safety of India offered compared to the conflict-affected home regions. So no study is without limitations. Our primary limitation includes the cross-sectional design, which provides only a snapshot and cannot track the perception change over time. So there is also an inherent risk of response bias because of the self-reported data, and the findings are specially to the India's context and cannot be generalized to the other countries. To build upon this work, future research can immediately have a longitudinal analysis. That means tracking the entire journey of international students, pre-enrollment to the post-work study, after study work when student joins a corporate. Another important recommendation here is understanding the gender perspective. So this study does not delve very deeper into the gender perspective. Also, nowadays, a lot of hybrid education systems exist. So it is not only the in-person education. So we can also have a study where, infrastructure in place of physical infrastructure, more prominence go to the digital infrastructure, considering the hybrid. That's another scope of future research. Before concluding, I want to express my deepest gratitude, my sincere thank you to my supervisor, Dr. Pooja Khanna, for her invaluable guidance and support throughout this journey. I also acknowledge the institutional support from Lovely Professional University and the Office of International Relations across country, different education institutions, whose cooperation actually helped me to get the correct data directly from the students. Finally, thank you to the students and education consultants, which also gave a very candid support to me at the time of that data collection phase, and to my family and colleagues for their unwavering support. Taking out time from work and then also from family at times become difficult. So following slides contains the bibliography. Now I would like to open the floor for all the questions and answers.
So, Tarun, nice presentation you have made,
Thank you, sir.
and you have chosen a relevant topic from your point of view. But my question is that why we should encourage foreign students in our country? What is the cost of providing education to foreign students for our culture, our society, our infrastructure?
Sure, got it.
I don't think that there is any need of encouraging foreign students to come to India.
Sir, your question is in fact, very correct. If we look at the global scenarios, what is happening in US, what Mr. Trump is doing, and discouraging international students.
That is the question
But
we should have.
Countries has always established their soft power with the help of internationalization. Whether it was our time from Takshila to the ancient India, where we had global scholars coming and doing their studies in India, India being the golden sparrow for the world. If we want to again establish a prominence, one critical route can be establishing ourselves as the again global study destination. Because of this only, you can see the government has given a very due weightage to establishing this transnational higher education institutions also in India. Few of them already established in Gift City in Gujarat, one established in New Delhi. Few others have plans of establishing themselves in India. So internationalization of education linked with the Indian education system. I have also one very important point to say here, sir. So I have seen very clearly the establishment and internationalization of Indian education system. It helps us to do reverse brain drain also. If you just take out the data of any 10 good education institutions attracting good number of international students, you will see the international faculties that they recruit are majorly the professors which are of Indian origin, which otherwise have Indian origin and now teaching at quite a lot of good reputed, we can say, top QS ranking or institutions of eminence in different education, different parts of the world. Now they are coming back and they are training Indian students and international students, so they get an advantage of that. So there can be various other factors which can always help a developing nation like India to establish a good prominence, taking internationalization into context.
So most of the students who come to India for higher education, so most generally they are from developing countries.
Correct.
African countries, Afghanistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, these are the countries. And personally I think that there is a gap between their mental caliber and caliber of Indian students. So how this will affect the environment in Indian classrooms?
So I'll just go a step back to answer this question, sir. So for any education institution, quality student is the first and the most important criteria. So a good quality student means an education institution is growing and will do, mark different success in future. The caliber of international students many times, very rightly said, is not at par with the other Indian students in the classroom. Reason being the kind of competition that exists in India and the kind of competition that exists in their countries. But if you take the scenario to the global, you can say US or UK or other countries which have established themselves as an international destination, the concept is opposite. So there, the international students' caliber at times is higher than their local students' caliber.
Yeah, that is there.
So my research is just positioning India at that level, which will ultimately balance it out. So when we establish ourselves as a very good study destination with the kind of quality these quality students are looking at, we will start getting them. As of now, we are not getting them. We are not getting them. That's very correct.
And personally, I think that this is affecting our students. Suppose I have 100 seats. So one way is that I give admission to 100 Indian students, or I give admission to say 80 Indian students and 20 students from other developing countries. So that is at the cost of 20 Indian students to whom we can impart education. So this is India's loss or not?
Sir, on one part we can consider it as a loss, but if we consider the long-term picture, so we need to, at times do a balance between what we offer and what we have. If we recruit...
Why not give admission to 20 more Indian students?
Sir, from an institution perspective, it is very correct. Totally agree with you. But from a...
Indian government is talking about 50% enrollment in higher education, and we are giving the facilities to foreign students. So forget it. What about the impact on Indian cultural values of these students who come from other countries? How it has affected the environment?
Sir, that's the one very important factor this research talks about. So acculturation is something that is required. Cultural integration is something which is must. Because till we don't have good cultural integration, the experience that they have, so what we experience is what we do. Our experience translates our actions very easily. So if we have the right integration of culture, the experience will be better, translating to their good perceived value and as well as will be in favor of India. India also tends to learn, so we are a very culturally sensitive country when it comes to remote areas of India at times. But at the same time,
Their culture is sensitive, but they may not be.
correct, agreed. So at the same time, integrating their culture and our culture is also very important, because till the point the Indian students, they don't understand what culture exists abroad, and foreign students, they don't understand what culture exists in India, and they both don't respect each other and come at a pace where both are mutually happy. Kind of cultural assimilation is not possible. So doing that makes India more international. That's something which has happened in metro cities quite often because of the modernization, but needs to come to non-metro cities also in future.
So in LPU, how many foreign students we have?
So in LPU we have close to 2,500 international students.
Okay. So they must be staying around the campus only.
Correct, sir.
So how this has affected the culture of the area?
So
Those 2,500 students, they are around LPU, inside or outside. And LPU has certain values and ethos.
correct, sir.
Okay. So how you will accommodate them, their eating habits, their other things, they are completely different from Indian students or the values and systems of LPU.
So I have in my initial career worked at the Office of International Relations in LPU, and this answer I can give actually from my heart. What is, because I clearly understand what happens outside with the international students and with the locals because of the international students,
Yes.
both
Yeah,
contexts.
that is good.
I can speak in detail about this, sir. Now, but I want to give a contradicting statement here. There are quite a lot of education institutions, one which don't allow international students initially for first year, or in case of bachelor's for the first 2 years, to leave the hostel. Especially students coming through the government scholarships also have certain policies. So I have seen institutions which I have established the offices of international relations also, where students were very well adjusted when they moved after 2 years to the society outside, because in these 2 years there were quite a lot of Indian festivals that they celebrated. There were quite a lot of basically a culturation has happened in these 2 years, and then when they moved out, the problems were less both for them as well as the outside society. But then when the student comes, and there are stages where students, they don't want to accept Indian culture, and then those kind of students already exist in the localities and they hand hold of the students. Very common, somebody going to abroad generally figures out where the Indians are staying, and we also figure out where is the Indian restaurant in that country, and then we are more comfortable. So that's what happened to these students when they come to India, and especially in the initial stages when they have just come, their acculturation doesn't happen, sir. So they go into a different set of parameters which bound them with the kind of mindset that doesn't get molded because of the initiatives that an education institution should take over a period of time, and leads to quite a lot of problems, both for them as well as for the society, Indian society. So both the points there are quite contradicting.
Okay, that is all. You have chosen a sample of 1,000
Yes.
participants. And in that table, you have given that you have chosen 500 participants from
North India.
and 500 participants from South India.
Yes.
And you have not given any basis of allocating 500 students to North India and 500 to South India.
So, sir, what I did is, this is a quota sampling which I have clearly used. So I have taken the data of All India Survey for Higher Education, AISHE. Now, when I say North India, I have written it in the research that I am considering North, East till Northeast. And when I am saying South, I am considering West and South. So if you check the data for AISHE, the ratio is very close to 50-50 for these two put together. So that's the reason I have easily taken North and South. Then what I have done, I have taken the gender ratio also of these 1000 participants, directly matching the AISHE data. Then the level of study that they study. So undergraduate, how many of them, same proportion I have taken into this 1000.
But this is not clear from the thesis. Whatever you are saying.
I have written it in.
Just you have written that you have taken a sample of 500 from North India and 500 from. So this that you have included Northeast also. So that is not there in your thesis.
Okay, I think it's there may be deeper, but I have written it somewhere. Sir. But I'll, if you are not getting, I'll still mark it so that it's very clearly visible.
It should be clear.
Sure.
Acha. So what is type 1 error and type 2 error?
Sir, not getting it right.
That's quite okay. Acha, you have given bibliography in the end.
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between bibliography and references?
So I think bibliography also contains the books, all the other literature, say the websites and other.
Hey, do you know the difference or not?
No, sir, I don't.
You have given only bibliography.
I have given bibliography.
And you have not done plagiarism check also.
I have done plagiarism checks.
But in this thesis, you have not attached any certificate on plagiarism.
Okay, it is there
This is
available.
your final thesis or you have modified the thesis?
So this is final thesis, but I have a plagiarism certificate. A lot of documentations are there. So they are part of, so plagiarism certificate is a part of that.
Because the thesis which I have received
Yes, sir.
from the university, this doesn't have the certificate from the guide.
Okay, so this thesis I have printed and just kept it, sir. But
it is a basic requirement. Without the plagiarism certificate, they do not accept this. So
Yes, that is requirement, but that should be attached to the thesis.
okay, this is something which CRDP, I think they should be taking care of.
Yeah.
Ki before sending it to some extra
Agreed.
There should be one certificate, maybe given by the guide,
sure.
that we have done
No.
plagiarism check
You can
and
put up this recommendation,
Yes.
sir, that further thesis whenever it's sent to external.
And I think it's a very
the
good
same
input
certificate
also.
on which they approve this thing can be sent to
Okay.
Because
external.
without that, they don't accept this and they don't process it further.
and you have not attached the papers which you have published. On the basis of this.
This does not have that, but this has the name of the papers in the last.
Yeah, that is there, but that should be the part of the thesis. Because as per UGC requirements, the papers which you have published, that should be related to the topic of the thesis which
It is.
you have chosen.
I think we'll
आप
attach
कोई भी
that.
paper publish करते हैं.
We'll attach that, sir. I think that's also available.
I have no ways of knowing that whether those papers they have information and data collected for this thesis. They have been, or this is general.
Again, the same thing, sir. They have to submit it, but like we would put this as well into suggestion, sir.
good
Whenever they submit papers, sir.
गोइंग फॉरवर्ड आई थिंक दिस इज वेरी गुड. मेरे को लग रहा है मैंने भी शायद अपने थीसिस में ना डाला हुआ था पेज पब्लिकेशंस का. बट जनरली यहाँ पे क्या होता है सर, वी पुट इट इन द प्रेजेंटेशन, तो वो इसलिए शायद इसमें मिस आउट हो गया होगा हमारा. बट अदरवाइज ऑल द डिटेल्स हैव बीन गिवन टू द डिपार्टमेंट.
So the last of the pages, you can see the,
Yeah, I have seen that.
Ji.
I have gone through the thesis. Last you
but
have
should be attached, sir, very right.
Baki, you are not aware about the difference between references and bibliography. This is also not acceptable.
Sorry, sir, I missed that.
यस सर ये
6.1 appendices.
यहाँ पे है लिस्ट ऑफ पब्लिकेशंस.
The list of publications is not enough, no?
दिस इज हिज पेपर, हिज व्हाट ही गॉट पब्लिश्ड. इसमें भी होगा
हाँ, ये है.
है ना जी.
I am saying that the copy of the paper should
अच्छा
be,
पेपर पब्लिश्ड, द पेपर शुड बी देयर.
paper should be.
अच्छा इट शुड बी पार्ट ऑफ द
That
थीसिस.
should be part of it.
ओके 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 ठीक है.
ये तो आपका एडवाइस थी.
Exactly.
जी, जी, जी.
We'll put up in the suggestion, sir.
हाँ
the list of conferences you have written, so you must have received the certificate for attending
Yes.
these. That could also
There are,
be a part of
there are somewhere around 12-15 annexures,
Yeah.
which include certificates of conferences, papers, plagiarism report.
Copyrights
So
and
we do
everything.
submit those, but we can put up suggestion that can be included in thesis as well.
because this will add value to the thesis. That the, such and such papers have been published. These are the conferences. All the requirements you have fulfilled that.
Sir, if I'm correct, references are the ones which we refer, and bibliography also, if we, if we talk to somebody, that also is mentioned. So all the informal interactions are also, if I'm correct. I'm just thinking,
Okay.
but I am honestly not.
Okay, when do we prepare bibliography and when we give references? किस स्टेज के थीसिस में आप बताएं बिब्लियोग्राफी लिखी जाएगी एंड किस टाइम पे वी विल गिव रेफरेंसेस व्हेन डू वी प्रिपेयर बिब्लियोग्राफी ये है क्वेश्चन
When we are talking in detail about the work, we should give a bibliography, and when we are just writing a paper, I think it should be the references which should. But I am not very clearly aware, sir. I accept that. But I'll definitely study that.
ओके ये सेकंड एग्जामिनर की रिपोर्ट है दिस इज द रिपोर्ट होगी
हाँ ये है इसमें।
क्योंकि इसमें तो मेरा ही इन्होंने दोबारा
नहीं दूसरे भी होगी ना ये आपको डॉक्यूमेंट्स उन्होंने दिए
हाँ,
CIT के उन्होंने
नहीं लेकिन इनसे
हैं जी
So there is only one page. Is it the complete report of the other examiner?
No, sir.
This is my report.
You must be seeking a list of questions to be asked. This is yours?
Yeah, this is mine.
This one, sir.
This is also mine.
वो गलती से मुझे लग रहा है आप दोनों सेम ही ले आए हैं हाँ ये भी आपकी है
So I would like to know what the other examiner has written.
हाँ मंगवा लीजिए आप यहीं दिखा दीजिए
Or it is of only one page. This means
नहीं 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 ये होगा
This should not be yours.
पेजेस आपके अटैच हो गए मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है ये देखिए ना 5th है ना यहाँ पे भी 5th है सो पेजेस सेकंड पेज ऑनवर्ड आपका अटैच हो गया फर्स्ट पेज उनका आ गया गलती से इनका
Printing error.
हाँ प्रिंटिंग सॉफ्ट कॉपी अभी PDF मंगा रहे हैं प्लीज शो कीजिए
and Tarun, I am not happy with your PPT.
So I'll work on your suggestions.
Why I am not happy? Bata.
So I would like to hear from this.
You have given so much material on PPT which I cannot read. I don't know which font size you have chosen. PPT means only the broad headlines. All these details which you have written on your PPT, I cannot read that.
Understand.
PPT is only for giving points, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's all. Other things you should explain.
Sure, sir.
So come, start your PPT, see anything. दिखाइए पीछे कोई भी पेज जो है हाँ बस यही रुकिए हाँ ये देखिए ये इतने सारे पॉइंट्स ऑन